I've been on my spiritual journey and on my self-development journey for years already. And I have to say, this retreat was by far the most impactful and most pure and beautiful retreat that I've ever been, because it included these magical places that we visited, and we had so many different experiences that you just can't grasp with. It's just things that you have to feel and you have to be present, and everything comes together, and it's just at the end, that's what life is about.
Hey everybody, we're here today with Fabian from Oceanic
Hi.
Ventures and Anabela, who is one of the participants on the retreat that we are about to talk about. I'm super excited because Fabian and I have been talking about this retreat quite a bit, and we're just getting ready to the listings and to introduce this to you guys. So I'm super excited by this, and you'll see in a minute why. This is a very unique retreat that I think you guys are going to love. So Fabian, Anabela, welcome to the call.
Thank you. Thanks, Amir.
I was just saying before the call, these things are meant to be casual, so I don't
Thank you.
do formal introductions. I've been told I'm not great at them. But Fabian, why don't you give a little bit of a background as to who you are and where you came from? Just a little foreshadowing for anybody that's into ancient Egyptian mysticism or dolphin spirit animals. You might want to continue listening to the end of this. So, Fabian, why don't you give us a quick background as to kind of how you got into this adventure type stuff?
Sure. So I'm from Berlin, Germany. That's where I was born and raised. And I would say that throughout my life and my career and university and so on, I was extremely good at creating a mask, a fake personality that was very far away from my core. And I believe that was the main reason that led me to um, burnout and depression at the age of 30 something.
Yeah.
And I went on my own healing journey, and I started off with psychotherapy, and then I went to a lot of different retreats, men's work, plant medicine, you name it. And that's also internationally, so I was, trying out many things. One of them was a spirit animal meditation based on Native American traditions. So I went through this journey, and back then I wasn't super spiritual, and also I was oftentimes not able to focus. Anyways, what happened is during this meditation, a dolphin appeared. And I was really surprised. Why did I just see a dolphin in this guided meditation? And I was very touched by this encounter with this dolphin spirit, how I would call it today. And sometime after that, I came across a campaign video by a nonprofit online that was promoting conservation of dolphins, because there's a lot of dolphins dying because of bycatch in the sea and so on through fishing. And I was so touched in my heart. And I was looking for a new mission in my life, anyways, that I just went online and Googled where to volunteer in dolphin conservation. Long story short, that's 5 years ago. I ended up moving to Egypt from Berlin. My intention was to stay for about 6 to 8 weeks. I stayed for a couple of years. My job consisted mainly of swimming with wild dolphins. And from there, I went into inner child healing, free diving, and other activities like exploring ancient Egyptian temples.
Mm.
And all of this stuff, which I have learned throughout my own journey, I've put together with my team into the retreat we offer today in Egypt. So it's basically, hey, swim with white dolphins and discover ancient temples.
Okay. Amazing. There's a lot. There's a lot to unpack there. Um, Dolphin conservation. What is like? What do you? What is that? What do you guys do in good dolphin conservatories? Like,
You know, it really depends on
education?
the
Is it like on the ground in the water type activities, or what do the dolphin conservation activities do?
it really depends on the company or an organization you're with. In my case, Dolphin Watch Alliance, we were doing research, conservation, and awareness. So in the research field, it means we did observe the dolphins in their natural habitat, and we would find out things like when do they sleep, when do they hunt. And once we knew the sleeping hours, let's say 8 a.m. to 12 a.m., we would then talk to the government bodies in charge of like tourism and so on, and we would say, hey, the dolphins need some peace in the morning at some specific reefs, for example. And
So it would affect
awareness,
policy. You would actually affect public
yeah,
policy.
yeah, it's needed.
Wow. Are they close to the human areas where human activity could disturb their sleep? They're close to the shore.
They are very close. Like you can take a day boat, and within a few hours or even 2 hours, actually, you can meet them right at the port if you want, you know? And of course, it's become also a trend globally nowadays to encounter marine life and wild animals in general. And it's important to keep a safe distance and respect their space. And
Mhm.
this is a challenge we are also facing as a tour operator ourselves, because once we see the dolphins and we go into the water, people are generally excited, you know, and they just want to swim after the dolphins. And it's actually counterproductive because the dolphins, they want to be in charge. So the best is if you're just a small group, you go into the water and you wait, and they will come because they're curious. In fact, in the Red Sea of Egypt, they're worldwide unique for their social curiosity and openness and behavior. So it's possible to have multiple encounters a day.
Wow. So I have so many questions, and I'm going to say some of them for Anabela. So, Anabela, okay, let me come back. Fabian, you had this experience with the dolphin conservation in Egypt, and while you were there, obviously there's a lot of sacred temples in Egypt, and so you got into that scene as well. I know that there's a lot of spiritual adventure tours that go to the pyramids. Tell me about your experience kind of opening up to that realm as well, and ancient Egyptian mythology.
Yeah, so when I moved to Egypt, I naturally connected with some, I'd say, conscious communities or people who are into these different ancient Egyptian practices. So I can't even tell you how I got into this, but I ended up going on multiple trips just with Egyptian friends to the
Yeah.
temples
So these are
to
Egyptian
discover
locals. These aren't Westerners that, because I know
combination.
Westerners go, combination of
Like
people. Yeah.
like one of my friends, she's Canadian Egyptian, and then there's kind of a door between a bridge between the cultures, and then we would go all together, Egyptians, expats, and so on. Um, and I encountered a lot of magic during these trips. I was very surprised. Like, um, I mean, just to give you one example, I was Annabella. You might laugh about this one. Um, so we were in a temple, and this temple is like, I don't know, maybe 200 different rooms and chambers.
Wow.
And I was traveling with my ex partner, who is very much into this field of like sacred femininity and like dancing and all this beautiful stuff, which she was doing in this one chamber. And I was just standing there thinking, okay, I'm just here to kind of keep an eye on her and hold space while she's connecting with different gods.
Hmm.
And then I was thinking, maybe I should ask a question. And I asked, how many children am I going to have? And then I received an answer, but that's a secret how many. And then later on, we sit down, like kind of to wrap up the day. And my friend is like, hey, that one temple, the one chamber where you and your partner were hanging out, that was actually the birth chamber back in the day, in ancient Egypt.
No kidding.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, you know like these
That's
types of
funny.
things are just happening over and over there. But of course, you gotta have, I was gonna say, you gotta be open to it. And many people who come to our retreats, they meditate and they have done a lot of practices, so it's kind of easy to open to these energies. Yeah. And me, as I said, even me, as I was just standing there, kind of like, okay, I'm just going to be the space holder here, just waiting. Even me, I connected right to this question.
Yeah. And what inspired you to go from retreat participant or seeker into now retreat leader? How did that transition happen?
So after this whole dolphin journey, I also discovered freediving for myself, which is diving into the ocean on a single breath hold without any technical equipment. And I also discovered lots of different spiritual practices for myself, including inner child healing. And I had this moment where I thought, wow, this is so beautiful. I want to combine a few things I learned here and offer it to everybody. At the same time, I feel I jumped a little bit too early on like spreading the word about this to others while I was still a little bit on my own healing journey. But it is how it is.
We all do that. I did that. It's very common in the personal development, personal growth, spirituality space to have profound experiences and then be like, everybody's got to experience this, and you start proselytizing. You start just telling and evangelizing it and telling all your friends, you got to do this, you got to do this. It's kind of like watching a great movie and then you want to tell everybody. So it's natural. And then you have the bumps and bruises of realizing that other people are just like not interested or not tuned into it, or kind of curious but not really willing to take the step. And so then you sort of like settle into a reality of like, okay, this is what I'm doing with my life, and anybody that wants to come along is welcome to participate, and I'm just going to um, kind of show by example what the effects of this are. uh,
Yeah.
and then there's a next level where you're like, okay, no, this is more than just being a participant or a consumer of it. I really want to make my life out of this. And Lindsay and I experienced that, and I had that experience when for years and years I was going to personal development workshops and seminars throughout the United States, and feeling that same level of excitement of like, oh, people have got to figure this, people have got to experience this. And it got to a point where I sort of matured in that sort of excitement around it and decided, okay, I'm going to go and pursue this professionally and bring people into it and inspire people professionally, which is how we got to Retreat Finder. And so here we are. We were just talking before the call about, and you were asking me how things are going, and I said I'm living my dream. This is really a dream. It's not easy. It's there's the grind. There's everything that you have to deal with regular business and payroll and staff and accounting, and all that stuff is still there. But the core of it is exciting and stimulating.
It's what keeps me going. I used to work in technology before this, and I used to go to a conference, and it would typically be like some workshop, some presentation, and then beers in the evening,
Yeah,
right? And now I go to a conference in the wellness space, and it's like, okay, let's have a yoga session followed by some fresh juices. And yeah, it's a beautiful industry to be
nice.
in.
Okay, the retreat itself. Now, there's going to be this video is going to be posted on the articles and on the listings and stuff, so people will be able to figure it out. But there's the structure of the retreat. It's 2 1-week retreats, and typically they're. I know that the one coming up in August, we're recording this in 2025. The one coming up in August or September is a little switched, but typically the first week is in a Nile riverboat that goes up the Nile and making multiple stops, touring around sacred temples, and you go to the Great Pyramids as well. I haven't. I'm like wanting to go myself so bad. I haven't been. You go to the Great Pyramids. You go to several different temples that each or ancient Egyptian mysticism. If people are not familiar with it, this is not Islamic. This is pre-Islam. This predates Islam. Predates. I don't know if it predates Hinduism either. It's quite ancient, a couple thousand years old, I think. And so you're visiting these ancient temples, the pyramids, all while going on a riverboat cruise. And you'll
Hmm.
see the pictures down below. And then the second week, you get off the riverboat and you're on a luxury yacht with the rest of the retreat goers. And this luxury yacht is sailing around, or I don't know if they call it sailing on a yacht, but you're driving around the Red Sea off the coast of Egypt. And from what you were explaining to me, Fabian, um, you'll be sitting around doing practices or having self-reflection work, and all of a sudden a bell will go off, ding, 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 and the captain has spotted the dolphins, and everybody jumps up and puts on their outfits and jumps into the water. hoping for the dolphins' curiosity to bring them towards you. I think that's what you're saying. Like you're not supposed to go pursue them, and these are all in accordance with Ocean or Dolphin Watch Alliance. They have a framework around behavior of how to be respectful towards them, and these are bottlenose dolphins. So apparently, there's multiple different subspecies of dolphins, and the bottlenose dolphins in the Red Sea are the most social and curious are the ones that are going to come up to humans and desire interacting with humans and be playful and show their social behavior with each other in front of humans. And so, from what I understand, they're not aggressive, but rather more playful and happy and joyous. That's the overarching thing. Did I capture the main kind of structure of it?
What do you think, Anabela?
Best thing ever, honestly. It was fantastic. Um, I've been on my spiritual journey and on my self-development journey for years already. I started in 2001 with Tony Robbins. I did all the courses with Tony Robbins till coach level. I'm not coaching because I'm an architect, so I'm not into that field. But I started Tony Robbins. I did Joe Dispenza, Sadhguru, you name them. And I was on so many retreats. And I have to say, and I said that to Fabian also, this retreat was by far the most impactful and most pure and beautiful retreat that I've ever been, because it included nature, it included meditation, it included these magical places that we visited, and we had so many different experiences that you just can't grasp with, I would say, with logic. It's just things that you have to feel and you have to be present, and everything comes together. And it's just at the end, you just have all these insights and you think, my goodness, that's what life is about. It's about joy and it's about connecting with others. It's about being positive. It's about being enlightened. And that was the most amazing trip I've ever had, really.
When you first heard about this retreat that made you interested in it, where were you at?
I'm living in Portugal, and a little bit living also my dream. I built my architectural office 14 years ago here in Portugal. I was in Berlin before, and a friend from Berlin, she was with Fabian last year. She then did this retreat last year, and she said to me, "This was mind blowing. You have to come." And I said, "Okay. I'm happy to go, but would you join me? Can we go again?" And she said, "Oh, I would do this every year." So this year we went. I have to say, I arrived from Portugal. It's very important for me because I'm a single lady and I travel alone, so by myself. And I arrived from Portugal. And this was one thing that when I thought, okay, that retreat is starting fabulously, because I arrived in Egypt, at Cairo, and I was picked up before
Impatient?
the visa.
Yeah.
How do you call this? Before I passed the passport control, there was a gentleman waiting for me, knowing my name, and he took my passport, paid my fees, did everything for me. It went everything really quickly. Took me to the taxi, and that taxi brought me directly to the hotel. So I was completely safe and taken care of from the second that I set foot on that airport, and that was really important for me.
Well, so Fabian's got the connections. You can go before the passport. There's people. I know these kinds of countries, Iran too. There's like, if you know the right people, you
Yes,
can
I thought, how
get
is
some
it
special
possible?
treatment.
This wouldn't. Yeah, I was very impressed. This wouldn't be possible in Europe at all. None of it. So, but security was very important through the whole trip, and that was something that mattered a lot, and that Fabian took care of all the time. We always were really safe, and yeah, everything was taken care of, and that was important for me. One thing was important. Apart from the spiritual journey, it was also very important to know that there are things that are perfectly organized, no matter what we would come up with. I mean, we were a group of 23, I think, and of course we have different ideas and different expectations. So we would communicate our expectations, and very often on short term. And Fabian and his team would just really in a split second. I wouldn't even know how to organize this. He would just make sure that everything is organized immediately, from pickup to getting to the temples to having the organized that we have a tour guide there. Even when
You
we
know, I
asked
talked to
for
a lot of different retreat
spontaneous
leaders,
activities,
and
it was
it's kind
fantastic,
of
really.
obvious. There's a lot of people that get into the space. It's largely unregulated. So some retreat leaders are operating out of certain jurisdictions in the United States and Canada. They're forcing them to, the government is forcing them to go through and get tour operator kind of statuses and certification. However, in the large part, this industry is largely unregulated worldwide. And so anybody can just call themselves a retreat leader. And it's very easy. There's, in business terms, there's very little barriers to entry. And you can tell whenever certain retreat leaders are treating it like a proper enterprise and treating it professionally and have all these things in place versus somebody who's been inspired by a retreat and having gone to several retreats and now just wants to do it themselves. It's a very different mindset when you want to treat it as a business and as an enterprise and you're treating it professionally. And
Yeah.
so I'm really glad to hear that from you.
And it's like, for me as the retreat organizer, it feels like going to different worlds and dealing with different worlds, right? Like, my co-facilitators are oftentimes, and I have a few I work with, women, and they have a deep spiritual connection and mission in life. And I take more part of the planning. I'm also spiritually connected, but I'm okay with being in the background and just making sure that we get access to the secret chambers we want at the temples. And then the floor is basically secured for the divine feminine to come in. And yes, we do have almost only women coming. I love to have men. Please, guys, join us. But it is true that we have mostly women coming. And of course, I'm very much aware of their needs when it comes to feeling safe, in particular in the Middle East. And it is challenging organizing trips in Egypt and in the developing world in general. In my previous work life, I organized trips to sub-Saharan Africa. So I organized trips to 16 countries in sub-Saharan Africa for internationals to come in. So,
Wow.
um, well, yeah, some people said to me, "How can you remain so calm?" And that's why, because I've been at checkpoints in Nigeria, Congo, everywhere. So dealing with tourists, it's something I love, and yeah, it's just
Yeah, but you're not. This is not exactly going to the tourist sites, right? So you've told me that you get access to some secret chambers that
yeah,
normal tourists don't have access to.
Hmm.
Annabella, can you
True.
speak to that? What was your experience actually?
Yes, it was impressive that we got to the chambers or to the temples or to the pyramids, and there was already a tour guide waiting for us, and already the security was already briefed. We would get green passes to get into the most exclusive chambers and most exclusive areas, and we even had time to
Take a picture,
stay
please.
there and meditate in there. It's not like you go through and you walk and you see, okay, done. No, you're there and you have the time that you need to go into yourself and start your meditation and feel the space.
What was your experience being in there personally? Did you have a transformational experience, or what did you feel when you were there?
Yes, yes, I had several breakthroughs, and I work a lot. The architectural business, I do architecture and interior design, and my company, we are 7 people working in this office here, and it's a very stressful profession. It's wonderful. I love my profession, but sometimes I wish I could do just one project at the time, which isn't feasible, of course, for a company my size. But that's what I wish for. And I kept hearing these voices like, "I'm done. These are my people. I'm done." So that means for me that I have to slow down on my architectural and interior and entrepreneurs side, and I have to be more connected into what my heart or my soul really deserves and needs, which is taking more time in nature and taking more time with the people that I met on the boat. As I said, 23 people. We didn't know each other. I had my friend from Berlin, but we connected as if we were a family. We had such a strong, amazing, positive stay throughout the whole 2 weeks. It was mind blowing. It was fantastic. I don't have other words to say really. And for me, I learned that I need to slow down. Just okay, tiles are not coming. Sorry, try tomorrow. Tiles are shiny. Sorry, let's order the matte ones. I would lose sleep about these things. And that was a big step for me. It was a big transformation. And I'm trying to keep this in my day to day. I try to remember how I felt when I first encountered the dolphins, when suddenly I was swimming and I wasn't expecting them. And suddenly two dolphins crossed below me and made this funny, beautiful noises. I mean, this is something I get goosebumps still when I think about it. It's
You can
something
hear
you
them in the
can't
water. You can
explain.
hear
You have
that
to
high
experience
pitch.
it, everything.
Is it a chirp? I don't know what it's called, but that
Yeah,
dolphin
yeah,
noise that
you
they
can hear
make.
them. Yeah, they communicate with you. They literally communicate with you. They're suddenly there and then they do a
They
little dance
also
or swim
scan you
towards you.
with their
And
sonar
it's
system,
fantastic. It's really
and
amazing.
they can also detect pregnant women, for example,
No
because
kidding.
they look through, and because of how their brain is made, they will never forget you. And we have not decoded the dolphin language yet. We literally don't know what they're saying, but we do know that they have names for each other and also for us. Like it's a designated whistle sound for each dolphin. Like that would be like speaking to a walkie-talkie, like, hey, Fabian for Amir.
No kidding. I heard birds have their own unique chirp as well. Every bird has a unique song that it sings. I had no idea about the dolphins having the whistle. And so they're scanning you with sonar, and the
Correct.
sonar, whatever they get back, the signature is your fingerprint, and they learn who you
Yes.
are through
Yeah,
that sonar
they have
signature.
like a little bit of a copy of your fingerprint in their brain, and this is safe for forever essentially.
Oh boy, you better make a good first impression.
Yeah, I mean it's cool. I mean, if they know you, it's pretty nice because then they have even more trust. Like oftentimes we encounter them with little calves, so then they can feel the energy of the group, and you
And
want to go.
Yeah, we had a great energy in that group, which was also because of the several spiritual interventions that
so
we
you're cleaning
did.
your energy
Everything just
body
was
before you
very,
go
very
into the
close and
dolphins,
bonding.
and so then they pick up on that you're not like coming in there with anxiety.
Yeah, we do normally on the first day we go to a little island because we are essentially on a boat for a week, right? So we go to an island, and first we do a water healing ceremony, and we do a somatic water practice, which is essentially floating people in the water for the emotional release to prepare the group for the dolphin encounters. That's kind of the journey how it's designed, and it seems to be working. However, even if it doesn't work, this energetical cleansing, like you called it, in my experience, the encounter with the dolphin is so cleansing. One time I was with someone on a trip, and the guy, he was on the phone all the time doing business, even while some people were like meditating, and he would be like on his phone because he didn't have the awareness of that space,
Mm.
right? And when the dolphins appeared, he was like, he let the phone go, he looked at the dolphins, and he was changed. He wasn't the same. Afterwards, he was present.
Yeah,
It's
it
like
sort of
everyone
snaps
started to
your
love.
awareness, like it expands your awareness, literally, where you're
I think
looking
so. I
beyond
believe
yourself.
I believe dolphins are special messengers from ancient times, and you can read a lot about this stuff and the different theories online, depending on your belief system. They used to play a very important role in the ancient civilization of Atlantis, for example. People who work with star systems, they're also huge. So you can dig as deep as you want, and you will find the dolphins everywhere.
So, Fabian, you've obviously gone several times in your years with the Dolphin Watch Alliance.
Yeah.
Are you able to recognize adult dolphins? Are you able to recognize have multiple encounters with the same pod? Do you know that this is the pod that you encountered last week? And then can
Yeah.
you
So
identify individuals? Do you have a certain relationship that you build?
yeah. So I mean, with the Dolphin Watch Alliance, I was just for a couple of months. And anyways, how we normally spot the dolphins is through the dorsal fin. The dorsal fin looks different with every single dolphin. And then of course there are some dolphins which are just remarkable because of how they behave. And also, let's say we go a few times, it might happen that one of our group members builds a certain bond with the dolphin, and then this dolphin always comes to that person, and then it's kind of clear who that is.
Hmm.
And yeah, there's dolphins I have built a relationship with. There was also like a super sad story of one dolphin that was caught in a fishing net while being a juvenile, and then this dolphin was just growing and growing, and the fishing net was around the fin as well, like in the back, and not much could be done. Like people were trying to intervene and catch the dolphin and remove it, but yeah, it was kind of a, I don't know, I could really somehow identify with this dolphin somehow, because in our human experience and in my human experience, sometimes I feel like that. I'm like a dolphin. I'm so powerful. I can jump. I can be fast, but there is something holding me back. Like this fishing net around my dorsal fin, maybe. But actually, it's an illusion. Maybe this it can be removed.
Annabella, what obviously we want to protect people's privacy. I'm always very careful about that. But what did you hear from the other participants as well? What are some things that you saw or heard from the other participants on the journey with you?
As I said, we were from many different countries all over the world, and we didn't know each other. And yet, through the different ceremonies that we did, the various meditations and connections, we grew together in love and care. Really, we didn't exchange a lot of private information. I don't think I know what everyone was doing privately, as in business, for example. But we shared a lot, many spiritual moments together, which helped each of us growing, and that was the important part. It didn't matter if you were an architect or I don't know, a hairdresser or just not working at all. It did not matter. It wasn't discussed. What was discussed was the true way and the true path to your inner self, and the experiences that we had during these trips. That was what connected us, and the overall feedback was literally that everyone was just not understanding how this is possible. How is it possible that you are on a boat cruising through the Nile, and you visit a few temples, and yet you have this deep spiritual connections and experiences within yourself and also with others, and that's very unique, and similar also for the dolphin trips. Some of us would be snorkeling, others would be diving, and then we would be back on the boat and have exchanges about what we just experienced. And the overall experience was we were all in disbelief how beautiful our emotions can be if we are just free
Yeah. And
from
speaking of leaving
all
behind the
the
worries, you said you
worries
came
that we
back
left
and
behind.
were no longer stressing about some of the details that you were losing sleep over before, like something about tiles and delivering the tiles to a project. Uh, did So I have a question. When you had
Just
this new
nonsense
frame of
stuff.
mind and you're no longer stressing about details in the same way, maybe not that those details aren't important and that they need to be delivered and the project has to move forward. So you didn't become negligent, but maybe you're not overstressing and overthinking about everything. Did those projects fall apart? Just curious. Did your life fall apart?
No, no, none of it fall apart. Of course not. No, no, it's the opposite actually. It's the opposite. I have this feeling of I was always very trustful in the universe. I know the universe provides for me, and I'm very thankful. I've been so blessed. Um, but this experience that I had in these 2 weeks and the growth that I went through in these 2 weeks gave me the strength to react differently. I would say I lost the triggers. I'm not triggered about things that people throw at me. I just think to myself, okay, I can evaluate that and I understand you and I can react in a complete different positive way, which then also causes a different reaction from the person that is upset about the mud or shiny tile. So it's something within me happened that gave me this calm, beautiful confidence and reassurance that everything is fine. It's not about what we're talking at the moment. It's not that topic. That's not the issue. The issue is somewhere else. And I just found this ability of being in that beauty, the beauty that I counted in these 2 weeks. I kept this beauty within me, and I can react with love and care and with understanding to others without changing. I'm still the same person. I'm not going to say, oh, you have a different tile. Oh, I'm so sorry. No, that's not. But the feeling within myself and the resonance that I create with others just brings me on a different level of communication, and that's what happened. I would say
Yeah, so to
I
be
made a
clear, it's not
big
like you got the
healing
message that
process
you need
in
to
these
quit
two
your life,
weeks.
quit your job, and go be a nomad and be a spiritual nomad. It, you quit how you what you
No,
used
no,
to
no,
be.
no, not at all. Yeah, I'm done with stressing. Yes, the sentence with "I'm done" was I'm done with stressing. I'm done with taking massive responsibility what I'm not responsible for. I'm done with proving. I mean, I just can be relaxed. Everything is fine. Everything will find its place and its way and its path, and that's this universal peace that I found within me through these experiences, through
And
the
it may have made you a
meditation and
better
through
leader as a result,
the experiences
leader of
in
your.
nature.
We'll have to interview your staff to
I hope
confirm that.
so. I'm not so good. I have to say,
Well, yeah.
I'm very, very demanding.
Oh,
I grew up I'm Portuguese, but I grew up
you're
in Germany,
square-headed
so that
and
makes me
passionate at the same
a little
time.
bit
That's a
square-headed,
dangerous
unfortunately.
combination. So I feel like we have to. Every industry has certain disclaimers, like financial
Let's
industry
hope
has
you're right.
disclaimers. So results are not guaranteed, but you have the possibility of transforming how you live your life, which will have the ripple effects. People in the
Yes,
manifestation circles talk about that, right? People that are really into manifestation, they say you got to put out the energy, and your reality is going to reflect back what the energy you put out.
exactly.
Not
Yes.
intellectually, but how do you
And I
get it
know
in
that
your
for
body?
years. I know that for at least 20 years I've been practicing that. But it's now that I had that path of healing, and finally I feel it. It's not, as I said, the triggers seem to be not existent anymore. There's no trigger for me anymore. I can understand everyone that gets upset about whatever it is, and my reaction is different.
Okay, Fabian, back to you. Tell me an experience that you had either personally or seeing somebody go through a transformation on one of your retreats that was really inspiring and you were like, oh, this really is worth it. This makes all of that worth it.
When I heard Anabela speak about the retreat and how she has been through all these experiences, such as Joe Dispenza and all of this, and she said that she took away from our experience. And I've also been to all these spiritual teachers myself, the ones who are like more big, like the ones we just mentioned, but also to people without names in the Amazon and native tribes. So it all comes together. Mm. So when I hear these things, this keeps me going, right? Does that make sense? I mean, I also have another story that comes to my mind. One of my friends who came to our retreat in 2021, he came into the Great Pyramids as well. And we work with one of these, I call her an ancient wisdom keeper. She lives next to the pyramids for generations. Her dad was also very famous in the ancient Egyptian mythology. And you can go to the government or the museum and get one of these guides. And then they're going to tell you a story that's being taught from the Ministry of Antiquities. Or you go to an alternative guide who's not certified by the government, but who has a little bit of a broader view of what's happening and what happened, right? So we work with her. She took us into the king's chamber of the Great Pyramids, and for some reason she made stop the flow of people coming in, because there's people coming in all the time. It's the Great Pyramids, right?
Mhm.
So we had about 10 minutes for ourselves, I'd say, and there is the tomb of where the pharaoh was buried, which is probably one of the main energetical points of the pyramids. And she told us, okay, lie down inside, one after the other, and then I'd start to chant. So yeah, my guests went through it, and people were like shaking and stuff. And yeah, my dear friend, he called me back a while after the retreat, and he said, "I really want to thank you because I've been trying to have a baby with my wife, and she's 45. I'm also not the youngest anymore, and they've been trying everything, including like IVF or something,
Yeah.
where they were offering to pay $25,000 to some people, and those guys were like, no, we don't want your money because it's hopeless. Like you won't have any
No
baby."
kidding. They got turned down for IVF.
Yes, this was in Europe. I don't know if
Yeah,
it's.
yeah.
They were turned down from two different hospitals. Anyways, they eventually had a baby, and he made the direct connection to what happened in the pyramids.
Wow.
And I'm
Was it
like,
in the birthing chamber, or this was in the Pharaohs chamber? Which
it's
chamber was this?
no, 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 not the birthing chamber. It's another one. It's the one that you go. Yeah, it's the main chamber in the main
This is the
pyramid. You have
king's
to walk.
chamber,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Pharaoh's chamber. I wonder.
It's the same, yeah, but in our case, it
Is
was
this
also
where we've
super
been?
interesting
It's the
because
same where we've been.
somehow we didn't manage to stop the flow of people coming in. I mean, for a little bit maybe, but the guard wouldn't leave because the guards, they're kind of trying to protect the space,
Yeah.
and well, there's different theories why, but they don't like people to meditate, right? It's a very energetical place, right? So once you start meditating and chanting and activating these energies, the guides will try to stop you.
Mm.
Our group, we just continued, despite the guard basically being like this, stop meditation. And it was a beautiful exercise for people to just blend out what's going on around you in this world. And I think this is also very symbolic for what's happening in our world, anyways. There is so much distraction from people who tell you what to do and what not to do, and there's border patrol and walls everywhere and laws, and some people call it the matrix that's constantly yelling at you, right? But you're like, no, I'm standing my ground and I'm doing this. So that was a beautiful exercise too. Tell me, I don't know.
And do you remember what happened to me in that?
Hmm.
I suddenly started chanting in in
Yeah.
the coloratura soprano. I was like, I was literally hearing my voice that I've never heard before, and my experience of my body was, I felt like the energy is so strong that I'm literally lifting my feet off the ground. That's how it was. Like I was resonating in the whole
I do
space with the
remember now that I
complete
was so
group
impressed
energy. It
by the
was
level of craziness of
amazing.
some people.
Yeah.
Craziness and positively bold. It's like, wow, you know?
Yes.
Next time we have to take our clients
That
there
was very cool.
and have them change their mindset. Uh, okay, let's talk a little bit about some practical things. So we're talking about living on a yacht and diving into the Red Sea with the dolphins. I know we've had this conversation, but some of the audience may have questions around this. Do you need any special skills? Do you need to
No,
learn? Do you need to know scuba? Like what?
no.
Tell me some practical things around the actual activity part.
I'm glad you asked because this is a question I get quite a lot. What's the level? Do I need to be able to swim in the deep sea? No, in fact, most of our guests are total beginners. You know, some people are not even comfortable swimming, so that's totally fine.
They're not comfortable
Snorkeling,
swimming. So
yeah,
people, I mean,
it can happen.
wow.
So yeah, total beginner is absolutely fine. Even people who are not very agile, for example, no issue at all. If people have experience in scuba diving, yeah, you can go scuba diving 3 times a day. It's included in the price. If people want to discover free diving, I can teach free diving too.
But the dolphins come up quite closer to the surface. They're
They
not.
do. They do. They all the time. We actually don't have to go down, and we encourage people not to go down because it disturbs them in their natural habitat.
Hmm,
Like people
okay.
going up and down all the time.
They come towards you. They come to meet you. They're really they want to
I
know
just
you. They
started
want to get to
looking
know you.
into
It's really
dolphins
impressive.
as spirit animals and the spiritual, like tarot cards and this and that. And from what I can tell, they're known as joyful, playful, curious, and very enlightened animals. And I know that there's got to be dolphin loving communities out there. People are just really into it. I find it super exciting. It's a new experience for me. I'd love to join you on one of the trips one time. Maybe we can get a retreat finder group to come and fill up one of the whole retreats.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I mean, obviously, you're welcome to come. And it's so interesting how dolphins spend their day normally. They love like to socialize and play for several hours every day. Like, what a great teacher is that, right?
what was the
Um,
three things you told me that the dolphins do three things in their life?
I mean, they of course they need to hunt, they need to eat, and they like to play and they like to have sex.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
A
It's
lot.
wonderful.
And also, the female dolphins, they
We
have
thought
a
you.
clitoris, which is very rare in the animal kingdom. So
Oh,
yeah, they experience pleasure.
so they're one of, I don't know if somewhere I heard that dolphins are the only other mammal that have sex for pleasure, for pure pleasure.
Well, that
Or is it?
explains why, I guess.
Yeah. Well, look, I think it's awesome. Tell me just quickly. Obviously, there's going to be the luxury that we can talk more logistically in the listings around. The riverboat looks beautiful, and the yacht. Tell me a few little tidbits around yacht life and living on a yacht with some great people.
Yeah, well, you don't really have to do much because the boat is going around and we can do whatever we want and we go with the group energy. I used to be also a little bit more square minded with a strict program, but now we kind of decide every day what to do. Normally, people share a cabin. So it's like typically 2 people per cabin. Um, some people they're afraid of falling seasick. We didn't really have that. Mm, it is kind of like small, right? Like if you're claustrophobic, I would probably not recommend it. However, we do have the deck. We have several decks where people can hang out. It's like a huge living room. You can go to the front. You will always find a spot for yourself. And we just go to different reefs, like a different reef every day for exploring it. For diving, for engaging with dolphins, for doing free diving. We go to an island sometimes, and then we do have our practices throughout the day, like typically a morning practice that would contain like some yoga or breath work. And in the evening, it's either free time or some spiritual practices, essentially.
Okay, got it. Yeah, yeah. I was going to say this is like luxury yacht
And
gear.
don't
You're
forget the
not
food.
eating junk food.
We had on both. Yeah. No, it was really amazing. They would expect, we would come back from diving and we would
Yeah,
have the
so
most
our
beautiful
guests are quite
juices and
demanding, I have to
salads and
say, and
everything waiting for
I
us.
constantly Like it's like remember it's
Gluten
like
free, no
yeah,
Pick me
dairy.
yeah.
up at the airport before immigration.
That's
All
cool.
these
That's cool.
demands.
It's more like no,
God.
no. It's more like hey, let's make sure all our food is fried with avocado oil or coconut oil. It's like, and then you speak to a local chef, and he's like,
Coconut,
"What are you talking about? I've never
coconut.
heard about this," you know. But it's okay. We're getting there, you know. Like before the next trip, I definitely go and buy all these natural oils and vegan products that our people want, and it's totally okay, you
But
know.
you can accommodate vegetarian diets.
Yes,
Yeah, vegetarian.
vegan, gluten free, no sugar, you name
Yeah.
it.
What if people do eat meat? You accommodate meat.
Yeah, oh my gosh, incredible meat. Like on the night cruise, the meat was poof, really good.
Okay.
It's yeah, of course, fresh fish also.
Yeah. Meat and
Very
So,
fish, both well.
Annabella, you said that you
Yeah.
found out about this when a friend of yours told me you have to go to this, and so you trusted her, right? And
Yeah, she went last
she
year and
sold you
went
on the
with me this
enthusiasm.
year
So
again.
imagine that you're talking to another one of your friends now, and you're telling them about whether or not they should go to this. So, what would you say to somebody who's considering going to this?
You must go. Whoever is interested in personal development and inner healing have to experience this, really. There's no way around it. If you want to be connected with yourself and feel your inner truth, you have to go. That's the way. That's really the way. I've never been in 2 weeks. I've never made so many jumps into my inner self. As I said before, I mean, I've been on this journey for such a long time. And yes, you learn all these things and you read them, and then you buy all these CDs and you have all these things, and you listen to it in the morning and you listen to it when you go with your dog and all this, and it's in your brain, it's there, it's there, it's there. But the first challenge, first trigger, and out you're there again, and you just, yong, you knock everything down. And for some reason, this didn't happen this didn't happen when I came back from this trip. It's like something was ingrained in my cells, and I think that was because of the experience of the magical energy in the temples. Something happened there with my body. I felt a different resonance, and also with the connection with the dolphins. There's something happened
That's
within
beautiful.
myself.
You make me
I,
want to
I
go.
don't have any way to
I really want
explain
to
it.
go. I think this is our first conversation. It will probably not be our
Oh,
last. So I know you guys are coming off the high of when was the last one finished?
like
It's been a
a
few
month
weeks.
ago.
A month ago. Wow, and this energy's still there. Sometimes with these workshops, with like the run of the mill personal development workshops, you're high for like well not high, but like you have the personal transformation for like a couple days and then you snap back like a rubber band. But it says something that you're still feeling this a month later and that there's no slowing down.
if I can say just very quickly, this is really something. It's like you're anchoring a certain feeling with your cells. It has to do with the inner anchor that you achieve. It's not in your mind. It's an anchor, and that as soon a difficult situation comes up, you go back to this anchor, and you can bring it back into your behavior and apply
Wow.
what you anchored.
You
It's
know,
like
I'm a
it's
big fan
there
of
deep in within
experiences,
yourself.
living things versus reading or watching stuff. You know, of course, it's also great to have the theoretical knowledge, but my life is all about that. You know, experience.
I wonder if the Pharaoh thousands of years ago imagined that in a couple thousand years, some German guy and a Portuguese architect are going to come and have a transformational experience in his
You
chamber.
know, those temples were designed for that. So some of the temples we went through, the ancient Egyptians, they would go through these temples chamber by chamber once in their lifetime. It was a sacred pilgrimage, you know, and every chamber with the different hieroglyph stands for a different god. It's like an initiation I've been going through myself. And I mean, I'm going through these temples and I get all this knowledge and I'm just taking notes and I can't even catch up, you know? So these energies still seem to be there. I don't know how they have designed these temples with which knowledge, but they still work.
Well, all these messages have brought you to this moment right now in this
Thank
conversation.
you for listening, and thank you for inviting us, giving this space, because we think it's very needed for our world today. Like, I think many of us, yeah, we don't really know what we're doing in life, but talking about the work and the mission we have, myself, I also get reminded of the why.
Yeah. I think we touched on that in this conversation. We touched on a couple of different whys here, and I'm really honored that you came and spoke with us. Thank you both for sharing your experiences and for sharing with our audience the
Thank
magic
you.
that's available here, and not in a touristy way, in a true spiritual retreat. So let's call it a spiritual adventure tour. And there's some adventure. There's a lot of spirit. Yeah.
Yes,
So, anyways, we're going to stay on after the
that's
call.
probably the
It
right
was a
word.
pleasure
Yeah.
speaking with you both. Everybody, wherever this video is posted, down below, to the side, look around the page, wherever you are, and find the link to go and inquire more and start the conversation with Fabian. So, thank you both for being here.
So much. Thanks,
Thank
Anabela.
you. Thank you very much.